give a little bit of a context, just share some guidelines for the House, and then we can kick off. Does that sound okay? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. So welcome to the 4th edition of the ElectHER Webinar Series. For those of us who are joining us for the first time and do not know what ElectHER is an end-to-end solution aimed at addressing the underrepresentation of women in Nigeria by engaging women, encouraging them to decide, equipping them to run, and enabling them to win. So that is ElectHER. And through this series, we like to bring on our guests to share their knowledge on this subject. Today, we are going to be addressing the topic, addressing the need for women legislators in Nigeria. And joining us today is Honourable Tolulope Akande-Sadipe, who is a member of the Federal House of Representatives representing Oluyole constituency. And she is also the chairman, House Committee on Diaspora. Welcome, Honourable. We're really, really delighted to have you here today.
Thank you so much for welcoming me onto this program. And I'm happy to be here because this is something I'm very passionate about. So I'm going to talk a lot. I'm just going to run my mouth.
No, that's why we're here, Ma. So thank you so much for being open. And I'm sure that everybody who's joined and that will be joining have come to hear you speak. So we look forward to that. So a few ground rules, everyone. We have a Q&A. You're welcome, Ma. So we have a Q&A box. Make sure that you use that Q&A box. Don't miss this opportunity to ask the questions you want to ask to one of the few female legislators that are representing us. So put your questions in the Q&A box. And as I give a background and a context to this conversation, I'm going to launch our poll to get a sense of whether people understand this subject and what we're going to be talking about. So feel free to fill out the poll as I give a context to this conversation. So Ma, the truth is that the legislative arm of government is supposed to be representative of its people. Now, in the context of Nigeria, that would mean that it is representative of male, female, young, old, people living with disabilities, and people who are obviously normal. But we find that the numbers are not telling us that. This is despite the fact that 49% of the population is female. That's one. And we know that generally, it's 24% representation of women in legislature across the world. So we're doing poorly across the world. But Nigeria ranks 181st out of 193 countries in the world when it comes to women in parliament, according to the Inter-Parliamentary Union. So my first question will be, can you share with us your journey to getting to the legislature, which we know obviously is tough? So we'd just like to hear what your journey has been, what your journey was like before we delve into other questions.
Okay, I'm going to go back far down in history because I cannot talk about me in politics without mentioning certain people. My exposure to politics started with my father, Chief Akande. He was a legal practitioner, and he was involved in Ibadan politics when I was a very young girl. So that's my first exposure to politics and all the intrigues of politics. My father was a very straightforward person, and obviously you can imagine what it would have been like for him at a very early stage in Nigerian politics at the time. And then I left Nigeria in 2016, relocated to in America, and while I was there, I became friends with a gentleman called Larry Banjo. He was a member of NCP. NCP was a party that was spearheaded by late Gani Fawemi. And basically, my exposure to him as an adult was what really got me more interested in politics. And my relationship with him got me exposed into late Baba Inahoro, Anthony Inahoro, who I worked with. I worked with him at one point, just because I wanted to understand somebody I had a lot of respect for. And as we all know, he moved for independence for Nigeria. So you can tell that he's a very well-seasoned, a politician.
Yes.
And then I came back to Nigeria, and I worked with him during the days of Nadeko. At the time, I was exposed to Ashiwaji and General Akinwumi, because they worked together in an association called World Congress of Free Nigeria, and I worked out of that. So basically, I returned back home and I went into my private sector career. Okay, that private sector career for me is the foundation of where I am today, because you have to deliver, you have to perform. You can't be mediocre if you really, as a woman, and I'm talking about women now,
yes,
as a woman, you have to be better and be the best to compete anywhere, we all know. So the private sector prepared me for where I am today. And then from there, I went into consulting, and should I say fortunately for me, I got the opportunity to serve under a very, very strict leader. And I will call him my leader because he is my leader. And today I'm talking about the ex-governor of Oyo State, Senator Abiola Ajimobi. I was fortunate to be selected as one of his special advisors. And I went to serve under a very knowledgeable and very stringent, strict boss. I had no problems with that because I don't joke around with my work anyway. And working for him, because he wanted to deliver for Oyo State, I was put in a role as special advisor project. Then my portfolio was expanded to include a Bureau of Public Investment Promotions. And then just before I left, I also got an addition to that, which was Sustainable Development Goals. Now, while I was doing this job, not as a person intending to go to the legislature. That was not the plan for me. The plan for me initially was to go in there and deliver, and which is what I did. I get in there, I deliver. If you look at some of the successful projects in Oyo State today, the Inland Dry Port that is going on, Olorisha-Oko, I was the one who masterminded it. I worked it and I made it happen. And then after doing all that, I presented it to my boss saying, this is what I've been doing. It has come to fruition. During that period as well, I went to my village. Because as you all know, I didn't grow up in Ibadan. I grew up in Lagos and in America. But I would go to Ibadan on holidays when I was young. And I went home. While I was home, I realized, let me go to my village. So I decided to go to my village, and I get there and I realized that, wait a minute, what's going on here? The health center was dilapidated. I was not impressed with what I saw. So I repeated it. I went to school in the area. I noticed that they had no toilets. I built the toilet. And I did all this not because I wanted to be a politician, but because I saw an opening for a need. And then Subeb was doing schools. And I said, please, there are schools in my area that have not been refurbished. Could you please look into it? And they put some schools in my local government on there. And then one day I'm sitting in front of the internet and I'm on Facebook. And I was talking and ranting on Facebook. And I said to myself, Tolu, why are you ranting? You are ranting as a public, as a private citizen. Get there and make a change. So I'm throwing this challenge at everybody else. But the reason why I give you my background is because you have to be seasoned.
This is true.
You can't just say you want to do something and not be seasoned. So you have to be seasoned. So I had acquired the experience. I had delivered. I was the one who brought the ramp project to Oyo State. Oyo State had never benefited from the Rural Access Mobility Program of the World Bank, where you are given a grant to build rural roads, which would have facilitated agriculture. Oyo State never benefited from it in the past. I was working for it. I worked on it. I brought in the Dangote Rice Project, whereby Dangote and some other companies we spoke to would grow their rice in Oyo State, which would create jobs for our farmers. In the process, Dangote decided to put a rice mill located in Oyo State, which would create employment as well for our people. Wow. Nice. Allied Distilleries, one of the biggest ethanol plants in West Africa, I got them. They were trying to come into Oyo State, but it wasn't working out. So I strategized and I said, well, the costing wasn't working out for them. So I said, okay, they wanted to acquire land. And I'm like, person is not working 9 years. This is how much money you have. It will buy you 66 years. Worked out. The largest ethanol plant today is in Oyo State. I did all that, not as a politician, but as somebody who wanted to deliver and create economic empowerment and development for my state. So I'm sitting there and I decided, okay, Tolu, no, you're not going to be an observer anymore. You're going to get involved with Nigerian politics. And at that point, I approached my mentor, my leader, Senator Ajimobi, and I told him, actually, before I did that, I went to talk to his wife, who I believe is a very seasoned politician. Very seasoned. And I'd been studying and watching her. You know, this is a lady that was so committed to the people of your state. She would feed them. She had a food bank. She would educate them. She had an empowerment scheme. She had an education scheme. And I was understudying her. And so when it was time for me, I already had a platform. I had the professional platform from working with Senator Ajimobi, and then I had also the platform from understudying a female like me, who was very versed in delivering to her people. I chatted with her, and the first thing she looked at me, and she said, "Are you sure you want to go on this journey?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "But do you know it's going to entail this? This is going to be full of sacrifices." Because it's why people look at us from the outside. They think, oh, it's a bed of roses, they're having a, but it's not. She let me realize the sacrifices that was going to be involved. And then she said to me, "Go home, go and talk to your husband. Because you cannot do this unless he buys into your vision. Once you are married, you're no longer one, you're two." So in everything I'm saying, I'm also teaching the people out there. One, if you are married to a day soup man, you cannot be a politician. What is a day soup man? A man who wants stew fresh every day. If there are issues of trust between you and your husband as a female, you cannot be a politician because you are going to be working in a man's world. So those two things must be in place. Key ingredients. So I went home and I spoke to my ever supportive husband, Mr. Akande-Sadipe, who I always
God
have
bless
to
him.
Because without him, I wouldn't be talking to you right now because he could have said no. Yes. But because he understood who he was married to, and he knew I'd always been someone who was passionate about certain things. He used to call me the mother. At one point, he used to call me the mother of Lekki because I was the one who wanted to feed everybody in Lekki. So anyway, cut a long story short, he agreed. And I went back to my leader, and my leader said, "Well, I cannot force you down the throat of people. If your constituency accepts you, then go for it." And he prayed for me, and I went back to my constituency. And luckily for me, because I had done things in Oyo State that had brought economic development, positive things, it was easy for me to be accepted. Also, in being accepted, I must share with you, you have to be ready as an individual to make sacrifices. You have to let down your hair. Not everybody can do politics, whether male or female.
This is true.
You have to have a certain personality type. No hoity-toity. There's no hoity-toity in politics. You have to be real. You have to be human. You have to be empathetic.
Absolutely.
You have to be godly. You have to be God-fearing. So I went to my Oluyole has never had a female federal rep. Oluyole, as far as I know, has never had a female. I am a first. So like my mentor, I am a, what will you call it? Osheleri. It has never happened before. The women accepted me. It was more difficult for the men to accept me. But because I knew what I wanted, I was not going to go into my corner and cry. It was a battle. I fought that battle. I fought it with guts and with God. Because I always fought first in everything. And before I do anything, I go to him and I say, "God, lead me." Even before I started chatting with you all this afternoon, I said, "God, lead me to say what I need to say and not say what I do need to say, because I can be very vocal and I can be very blunt. And you know, people like me tend to make it. So in a nutshell, that's how I arrived there. Should I go on to talk about the campaign?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is involved in that?
Yes, ma'am.
So we started the campaign. We'll leave home sometimes very early in the morning by 5 a.m. because there are places in my local government that's like 3 hours drive from the inner city of Ibadan. Called Outer City. My local government starts from when you enter Ibadan, from Lagos Ibadan Expressway. It goes close to Abeokuta on one side. And then on the other side, you go through Ibadan, you go to, when you go to my ward 6, Oloju Oro, you are bordering on Yebubo. Then there's a place where I border on Egbeda. I border on Ido local government. And there's some back places where you can get to Osun State from Oluyole. Wow. Oluyole is huge. There's a place I have to go to, and I have to go on a canoe to get there. So I set out. Sometimes we leave home by 5:30, and we don't get back home till 1 a.m. in the morning. We're eating anything we found on the road. And some days we will go without food. It's a tough one. In the same process I was doing this, I was also raising money, because I made up my mind I was not going to take a loan to go into politics. I was not going to sell any of my properties that I own, because I'd acquired assets before I ever became involved in government. I wasn't going to sell anything. I was going to go into politics clean, so that I would be under no pressure. So what I did is the way it's done in America. I sent out messages. I did not use letters, because letters too will cost me to deliver. I sent out messages on WhatsApp. Wow. WhatsApp is a modern way of doing things. I wrote to everybody I knew to please support me. Some supported, some did not. I got most of my support from men. Of course. The women did not support me. Even the female organizations did not support me. My friends, who are not the most wealthy, supported me with their widow. My very wealthy friends did not support me. And I'm being very blunt, and I've always been very blunt about this. I appreciate but I don't know what is. Why I'm saying it is that women talk about wanting to be in politics, but you have to put your money where your mouth is. The only way more women will get into politics is if more women get into politics. That's right. The only way more women will get into politics is if more women succeed in politics. You don't have to like me. Don't like me. Just see me as a woman and support me because I am a woman. Because then I can help other women get into this. But if you don't support me, then you're not supporting yourself. I keep saying it. I'm not likable. I'm not likable, and I know. I am not your typical Nigerian lady. I am not a lady, I'm a tomboy. So I tend to be obnoxious sometimes. And when you're obnoxious, other women just can't relate to you. So please, the other women like me who can help us make our cause easier. You don't have to like us, but you must support us if we as women are going to make progress. Thank you so much. Talk about it. Wow. Okay. But I have a point to make, and my point is, I am going to succeed at this thing, and then I'm going to prove that a woman can do better than a man can. And that's fantastic. Fantastic. I'm clapping here. Thank you so much. I'm sure you can see the comments rolling in. Thank you so much. Because I was not focused on the camera, but I now start paying attention. Yes. No, that's okay. It's just them sending their love and all the nuggets that they're getting. Thank you very much. I want to summarize some of the key things that I got from what you've just shared, which is why we wanted you to share your own journey, because your journey is very, very peculiar to you. So one of the key things that should not be any surprise to those of us who have joined us here and those of us who are involved and passionate about this cause: men as allies. It keeps coming up
over and over and over again. And that's very, very interesting. The second thing is the importance of being seasoned in your words and having experience and having track record, right? So it's not just about being female, okay? But it's about the fact that you have value to bring to the table in addition to being female. In addition to that, staying connected with people. So the fact that, you know, you lived in America, you grew up in Lagos and America combined, but when it was time to go back and connect, you didn't think, you know what, I'm better than this, or I shouldn't be relating with these sort of people. I thought that was very powerful. And then, of course, the few women who supported you, the governor's wife giving you her blessings and letting you understand, look, these are the things that you need to do before you take that step and make that decision. And of course, getting partner consent if you are married. And somebody said in the comments actually that day soup man is now going to be their new term. I mean, I had never heard that as well. So thank you for a new terminology. And of course, commitments. You know, when you started to talk about how you were on the road, sometimes you will eat, sometimes you do not eat, and sometimes obviously you eat whatever it is that you see. I mean, I think that that is so, so powerful. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing that. So I'll move on to the next question. So why is it important for us to have more female legislators? So for the people who saw our topic and said, what are these people talking about? Why is it important for us to have more female legislators in government, and how can we do that?
Why do we need to have more women? I'll tell you why. It's not about women or men. It's not men against women or women. Okay, now, if we're in a zoo, let's assume we're in a zoo. Yes. In a zoo, there are different types of animals with different types of needs. So obviously, if in the zoo only the elephants are the leaders in the zoo, will the needs of the giraffes be met? No. Will the needs of the lions be met? No. So it's not a male-female issue. It's an issue of who makes up the world. The world is made up of women, men. The world is made up of the teenagers. The world is made up of disabled people. For there to be proper representation, there must be a balance of who is representing who. Right now, I'm talking to you. You can see me, I can see you. Yes. But a blind person doing this interview cannot read whatever is being written. Yes. So obviously, when you're making policies, you have to have a good spread so that our policies and laws will be such that it will be all encompassing. So this is not a feminist issue. No. It's an issue of representation. I agree. For me, in a nutshell. You know, when we sell this issue, let's not sell it as a female-male issue. Let us sell it as representation of what exists in the world. There are males, there are females, they're blind, there are people in wheelchairs, there are people who can't speak. We must have representation across the board for everybody to be happy. Now, if I'm going to make a law, before I can make a law on disabled, I must consult the disabled in my community. But if a disabled member was in the house, wouldn't it make things easier? Yes. So please, you know, it's not for me, not a male-female issue. And if you're going to succeed as a female in what they call a man's world, and let's face it, it's been a man's world for many generations, you have to be better and be the best at what you do. If you look at, for example, I'll use America as an example. At one point in America, everything was, for you to compete as a Black person in America, you have to be the best at whatever it is you do. So if you're a woman and you want to compete in this environment, you have to be the best at what you do. Then some things that we women do, we need to put it aside. And I'll share this with you. I went to speak at an event once. Yes. And then at the event, a gentleman it was a political event, and it was about females in politics as well. And a gentleman got up, and I can't remember what exactly he said. But in the process of saying what he said something about the wife, you've got to take care of the wife, you've got to take care of the side chick. And then the woman there got offended. Darling, in politics, you're going to hear worse. Face what you have come to do and leave the nonsense that's been said. Okay, the guy says side chick. Right there and then, the lady got up and went off on the man. You know, right there and then, we've gone off tangent.
Yes, we've lost the
point. You've lost the point. So if, let's assume you are in the house and there's an argument going on, and then some man says something maybe derogatory. I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying, just to let the women realize that we need to leave certain things and focus on the main issues. Now, the argument is on a particular topic. Because the man now says something like, hey, you women, you talk too much or something. You now divert, and your issue now goes on to the women talk too much. For me, I didn't hear that. I just focus on where I am going. So whether the man said side chick or he didn't say side chick, the bottom line is, I'm a woman in politics, and you will not intimidate me with your words out of politics. So you can make your dirty jokes. You can say whatever you like. I am not hearing it. You have not offended me, because that's not the issue at hand. So women, please, let's rights, and you let it go. Face where you're going, the main issue. We want more women in politics. And you must act as if you're wearing trousers to survive.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ma. Wow, that was powerful. So my third question,
you know, I must share, there's going to be all sorts of intimidation. And as a woman, there are certain things women get scared. But in politics, you can't afford to get scared. If we all remember the lady in the many years ago when we were very young, big political leader. Recently, there was Mrs. Salome Abu in Kogi State.
Kogi State, yes.
I had to go and fix it because I want it as a reminder. I was shot at. The bullet, they actually wanted to drag me out of my car. But the door, thanks to God, will not open. So at that point, they decided to shoot. They had surrounded the car. My driver was afraid to move. The policeman in front told him, move, you have to move now. Nick of time, he moved. So instead of the bullet coming through the door, the bullet came in on the side panel where the gas tank is. Yeah. Luckily, the gas tank was on the other side, and the bullet came into my boots. So there's violence in politics.
Yes.
So you have to be aware of that. And you have to be you can't be lily-livered. You must have a strong. So if you are able to overcome all those things, then politics will be an easy field for you. Not easy in the sense of easy, but easy as in
something you can overcome or you can get through.
Yes. And you need funding. I mentioned that earlier on. You definitely need money. Yes. Campaigns are expensive, extremely expensive. And I also advise, please don't take a loan and don't sell anything you own. Because when you go in there and you've sold things, you want to reacquire them and you become compromised. Yes. But if you are going in free of all encumbrances, the sky is the limit.
Thank you so much, Ma. You're throwing out so many nuggets. I can't imagine what is happening on Twitter right now. So my next question, and you know, you talked about violence against women in politics, which is a huge issue. But my next question is about legislation. So is legislation the way to go, right, to get more women in politics, especially legislative office? What do you think about that? So are women who are there now supposed to be pursuing legislation, or what can legislation do to actually get more women in the door?
You know, several times the rep that are female in the Night Assembly, we've met on this a series of times, and there are things we are not at liberty to talk about here that is being put in place. We have a very formidable female leader. She's the deputy whip of the House, Honourable Nkiru. She's a very, 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 very seasoned politician, and she provides a lot of guidance with regards to this. And I'll tell you, it's not an easy task to accomplish. In 2006, the Nigerian gender policy highlighted the women's rights for equality in economic, social, and political life.
Yes. But
as of today, it asks for a 35% increase in women in elected and appointed positions. This is 2020. We still haven't gotten there.
Not even close.
Honourable Biodun Olujimi,
yes,
at the time, also sponsored a bill. Today she's senator. Yes. Then she was a member of the House.
Yes.
Yes. She was also the minority leader back then in 2019. She sponsored this bill, the same bill, Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill.
Opportunity Bill.
Still, yes. Mm-hmm. It didn't go through. What was the reasons why it didn't go through then? They said cultural, that it wasn't, cultural, it wasn't this. Make it through the primaries and more women get into National Assembly, it will make a lot of difference into the passing of those laws. As of now, Senator Equinefe has also presented a similar bill. But in her own bill, what she's asking for, that the percentage should be a balanced percentage. She's not asking for anything for females. She's just made it that let there be a balance. If there are 40% men somewhere, let there be 40% women there. That's what her own current bill is asking for. It's 60%, 60%, let there be a balance. And I'm hoping with that, we can run with that and make some more inroads. But let's be sincere with ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's be sincere with ourselves. The only way this will happen, again, I reiterate, is if the women support the women. I won my election because the women of Oluyole Federal Constituency, led by my APC leader in Oluyole, Alaja Ashake, if not for her, I don't know where I would be. But she stood for me and fought against all odds. So women, if we want more women in politics, we need to go out there and begin to educate the grassroots about women empowerment. Because you see, when the women go out there to vote, they're voting for the men because they have not had enough political education to know that things will change for you. There'll be more laws made. For example, there are a lot of deadbeat fathers out there.
Yeah. Honourable,
they marry women.
Okay. You're back now.
They have so many children and they don't take care of these children. Who ends up taking care of them? The wife who is selling pepper and tomatoes. We need to get to these ladies and women and let them realize that in the next election, when you see a woman, you vote a woman. And then there are laws that will be put in place to protect your interests. And that is the reality. So look at Rwanda. Rwanda is doing so well. So well. Why? Because one man decided that he found women to be more practical.
Yes.
And he was going to support women to be the legislature in Rwanda, I believe, is 70%.
Yeah, it's almost, so it's upwards of 60% now. Yeah. So what I hear you say, Ma, is yes, legislation is good, and already the current female members of the House are doing their bits, right? So it is on the top burner, it's on the agenda, but women, and this point is so important because from the statistics that we saw in 2019, 47% of the registered voters were women. And so to the point that you made, imagine if all the women who were registered supported all the women who ran. We will have more women in office. I think that that's a very, very, very strong point. So I know that another thing.
But I must throw something in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Women move away. This matters that only useless women are in politics. It is not true. The women that I have come across while I have been on this journey are responsible and respectable women. We need to move away from that mindset. And we realize that it's a mindset that's limiting us in achieving in politics.
So there's a negative perception when it comes to women in politics, and that's part of the mindset reorientation that we need as we also challenge the existing stereotypes that we have of women in politics. So I know that something that you're very passionate about is the girl child, and because of what we've experienced so far, you know, they say catch them young. So one of the things that we are wondering is, do we need to go to the girls, to the young girls in secondary school and in university and start to talk to them about the importance of getting involved, about the importance of, you know, raising their hands and taking the steps required, building their skills to be able to run? I mean, if I remember the story of Condoleezza Rice, she was identified when she was a very young girl and, you know, followed on the journey till she became the US Secretary of State. So what are your thoughts about that?
I agree with you, catch them young. And why I'm saying that, let me share some with you. You know, we give birth to our babies. We have a boy, we have they're twins, you buy cars, you buy the girl dollies with long white hair, you know? And then they grow up believing that the girl must learn to cook. In my house, my son can cook. My son is an excellent cook. My son does housework, my daughter does housework.
Yes.
I was lucky. My dad and my mom were people who didn't only buy me dollies. They bought me cars, they bought me guns. I climbed trees, got scars on my legs to show for it. I climbed trees. I was, like I said earlier, on a tomboy because they did not put me into the girl child stereotype. So this thing is three-pronged. It's not just about getting to the girls. We need to get to the parents,
yes.
We need to get to the girls, and we need to get to the boys. We need to get to the boys to get them to realize that a woman can do what a man can do.
Yes.
We need to get to the girl child to realize the girl child can do what the boy child can do. And we need to get to the parents and let them realize that do not cage your children into what you think they ought to do. Leave them with a free spirit and let each child develop its own pace. As much as I was brought up in like a masculine type freedom, I hung out with my brother a lot. My brother, who just passed away a few weeks ago, who were extremely. I would sit in the midst of his friends from when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, and I would hear the things they were saying. And you see, what they were saying was actually training for me, because then I was not naive. Now, for example, during my political run, some of the people I ran to for funding were those his friends. And I said this to my brother, he died, about 63, 64?
Bless.
You know, coronavirus. So you can imagine. So now I had a network of people his age because I was not brought up as a stereotype
girl
child. I was driving by the age of 11 on the highway in Lagos. I was driving by age 11. You know, so it's through, like I said, three-pronged. We need to work together on it. And then the boy child must be brought up to respect the girl child. There's nothing clear about the girl child. Part of the problem we have today is because culturally, the males believe to an extent that a woman is inferior, whether we like it or not.
This is the truth.
And we need to change that orientation. And it might take a while, but we must start somewhere.
Yes.
So that by then, when a man is faced with a competent woman and an incompetent man, he will not pick an incompetent man because he's a man.
Just because
he will pick
is a man.
The person that's most competent without looking at sex.
Yes.
So I hope that answers that question.
Yes, it does. Very well. So thank you so much. So now, who are the other stakeholders? So we've talked about the female legislators and obviously what they should be doing. But to ensure that there's a collaborative effort to increase the number of women that we have in the legislature? Who are the other stakeholders and what should they be doing? So that if they're on this call, if they're listening, if they hear this, they can take those steps, especially if they need to start now ahead of 2023, so we don't have the numbers that we've been having.
Okay. One clear thing is organizations like yours need not only just run programs like this, you need to begin to identify, be like lobby groups, identify females that you think will deliver.
Yes.
And begin to sponsor. Now, come 2020, I want to come back. But I'm going to have to raise money again to come back, because whatever I have been given now goes into my constituency to develop my people. I've had several empowerment schemes. I've empowered over 1,000 people since I came in. I've given over $25 million, Naira scholarships since I came in. I have fees for my people. I am lobbying, and you know all these things cost money.
Yes.
I am school fees, with healthcare. I'm contributing to my cost a lot of money. And I will never do anything to compromise my values. So I need your support. In fact, I'm coming back to 23, I need your support. Don't look at me and say she's done 4 years and so she have money. No, because if I am doing the right thing, I'm supposed to be here to do there. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back now.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, in 2023, I wouldn't have exorbitant money. So that is why your organization shouldn't just set up webinars like this. You need to become a financial source. Identify the women that you think, I'm not going to say support everybody, I'm going to say identify the ones you think you can support.
Yes.
And begin to raise funding for them. So that when they have these projects they have to do, you verify the authentic projects, you pay directly for the projects, you come, you monitor what they're doing, and you help. We need your financial assistance. We can't do it alone. The men are doing it. So the men are doing it, and then some of the men are also supporting us. But we women are enough to support ourselves. So I'm going to reach out to everybody there, and I'm going to actually beg, please put your money where desires are. You want more women? Put your money behind us. There are a lot of women in corporate Nigeria as we speak. And there are enough organizations in business that can partner with the political organizations for women and make this thing reality. Let us just stop the lip service. Let us put action to all that we are saying. That is the pain. Once we have money, more women will run. But please make sure that you try and sort out the staff from the
screen. Yes.
It's very key.
Thank you so much, Mar. So there was one other stakeholder that I was hoping you would mention, which are the political parties and the role that they play in ensuring that more women actually become candidates. Because if women are not candidates, then obviously they won't be on the ballot and women won't be able to vote them.
Okay, now, one thing the political parties have done, for example, I can speak for my party, APC. When we were registering to contest, they reduced the cost that we would pay to pick up the registration forms to 50% of what the men paid. So if the men were paying 5 million, I paid 2.5 million. If the men were paying 3 million, I will pay 1.5 million. They've been very good at that. But again, I will go back to money. It goes back to money. Because at the bottom line, when the selection process is going to happen, it's whoever can deliver. And if the women don't have the money to finance their campaign, the party will not pick them. So the woman must be able to show the financial capability to campaign against the man that the other party has selected.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Yes, we can hear you, Ma.
It was hanging for a moment there. So because let's assume Party A, great. Let's assume Party A picks a woman. Party B picks a man.
Hanging again. Hello, ma.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
can you hear me now?
We're good. We're good now.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I give an example.
Yes.
Okay. Let's assume ABC party selects a woman.
Yes.
And then DDC party selects a man, and the man has 10 billion in his coffer, yes. And the woman has 1 million naira. She can't compete.
No.
When they get to the campaign ground, she can't compete. So again, the political parties will only give you the space if you can show that you can deliver. You have to be able to show that you can deliver. You have to have the financial means to be able to deliver. They've already given us a leeway by reducing what we will pay to register.
So one of the things
and
yes, go ahead, ma.
You see, another thing that's very important, you can't just wake up today and say you want to run for
preparation.
Office.
Yes,
you need to start going to those meetings at your grassroots. You need to have delivered. You need to have shown a good example. People need to know you. It is very important, extremely important. So and then current legislators, I'm one, and I know that my colleagues were willing to mentor. We are willing to mentor.
Okay.
So,
that's amazing. Because I was going to say the major point I'm getting from that is preparation. Oftentimes women start to or decide to run a year before or 6 months before, but most men who want to run in 2023 are doing the work from now. And I think that point is so important. So thank you very much, ma. So we have a few more minutes. Okay, no, we're still good for time. I just want to take a minute to see some of the questions we have, if that's okay, before I come back and ask you about your 3 specific recommendations ahead of 2023. Let's just see some of the questions that we have so that our audience don't feel like we are not paying attention to them. So somebody is asking, ma, that do you have to be tomboyish to vie for political positions in Nigeria? So maybe this person is very feminine, and they are wondering, can't I just be feminine and also be interested in actually seeking elective office? Sorry, ma, did you?
Okay, the tomboy. Yeah, I caught the question. Okay. The tomboy was illustrative. What I was trying to say is that you cannot go campaigning and be wearing a flowing skirt. Because when it's time to start running, when violence comes, are you going to be running in a flowing skirt?
Yes. So it was just illustrative, like you said, about it's almost like the posture that you need to take on for the terrain. So if you were going to a construction site, you have to wear your gear, you have to wear your boots and all of that.
Fantastic.
Yes.
For example, you go campaigning, violence erupts, you're wearing a long flowing skirt with your weave on all the way to your waist. When the violence comes, the first thing they're going to grab is your hair and yank your head back. So you go with your short hair. During the campaign, I cut my hair short. Short like a man's hair because I wanted to be free to be able to move. I went in jeans. And if I have to go to an event in a kaftan, I have to wear shorts under it.
Just to be ready.
So it's not tomboy to be a tomboy, but you must be able to flow with the right environment.
Absolutely, I agree. So someone wants to know, what was your motivation? I think you've already spoken to that, but I think that what would be good is sort of the thought process, because I'm sure that there might be some people here who really will like to go into elective office, but just their mind, so what was your motivation to say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm not just going to talk. I'm going to do it. And did you have to write out a goal? Did you write out all the people you knew? Just some practical steps that motivated you to say, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Should I tell you the first thing that motivated me? My son graduated college in America. While he was in college, his father bought him a very nice car, an Honda Accord. And then my son went and got it all tinted. It was a brand new car. And then I had the fear in my heart all the time. This boy is a black boy. He's driving a car. He got the car in his second year. He's driving this luxurious car. And here he is in America of today, where the young boy was jogging the other day and was killed just because of the color of his skin. Mm. And then my son graduated and got recruited to work in America. Mm. And I sat back one day and I said to myself, he's going to have a good life in America, obviously. Mm. But I would live in fear every day of my son's life because he's a successful black boy in America. Mm. But why wouldn't my son want to come to Nigeria? Mm. Because Nigeria is not where we want it to be. Yes. And I am sitting there playing lip service, joining people to talk on Facebook. Mm. Olu, go and be part of the people that will make Nigeria what it's supposed to be. Because if every Nigerian wakes up today and decides that Nigeria will change, Nigeria will change. Hmm. And that was my initial motivation. And then what did I do? I went and I did what I did. I spoke to my leaders. And then I sat down and I prepared a long list of everybody I knew. Hmm. People I hadn't seen in years, my sister's friends, my brother's friends, my cousins, my relatives. And then I went out and I went to look for everybody. And then I made phone calls and then I started to beg for money. Mm. If you want to succeed in politics, no pride. There's no pride. I went out there and I went to beg for money. Help me. Some people gave me millions. Some people gave me 50,000, 100,000. It meant a lot to me because I had people who I knew maybe had 500,000 in their bank account and gave me 100,000. Mm. And that was like giving me 2 million naira. So I made a list and then I started approaching the people. And then I've said to myself, after 2 years in office, I will write to all these people again and tell them what I have been able to achieve in the past 2 years with their money. So I have records of everybody that gave me money. And every opportunity I have, when I see any of the people who supported me out there, I immediately get up where I'm sitting. I have no ears. And I go to them and I say, thank you very, very much. And then I introduce that way. This person helped me during my campaign, and this person helped me, and this person helped me. I acknowledge the people who helped me. Because I believe it's a partnership. Yes. And what do I need to deliver to them? I need to deliver a better Nigeria within my capacity to them.
That's powerful. So accountability and feedback. So someone wants to know, there was a question about money, and I think that's what you've just alluded to, on whether you have to have money. And the question is, I think the answer to that is yes, but how do you go about it is what I think Honourable has just given a detailed step-by-step of how she did it. And so obviously it should be a guide to those people who are interested. And as she said, debt is a no-no, and she stated exactly why. So someone is asking, Ma, that how were you able to align your party's agenda with your agenda, knowing that obviously politics is about mutual interests? I think that's a good question.
My party is APC, and I'm very, very lucky to have very, very good leaders in APC of your state, at the state level and at my local government level. But I will not delude you and I will not lie to you. There are some people within my party too who don't like my way of doing things. My way of doing things is very blunt. I do not, like Yoruba people will say, meaning I don't pretend, I say it as it is. Some people don't like it, some people are not used to it. So I won't say that everybody in my party loves me. But the people that really should love me, that want the interest of the constituents in Oluyole, they love me. They are supporting me, they are fighting for me. Behind my back, they're there for me day in, day out, every day. And at the same time, I know the ones who are not interested in me because of their selfish interests.
Wow.
And I will not cower to them. God help me.
Amen.
I will not cower to them. I will continue to maintain my stance of delivering, because that is the reason why APC Oluyole exists, is to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people of my constituency. So why would I go against that? So anybody that is APC Oluyole that is not interested in that, then they don't mean well. So eventually I will overcome once I am delivering. So I will not like you win, but it's still not a bed of roses. There's still all sorts of intrigue you have to deal with. So you have to decide whether you want to cower to the intrigue or you want to stay on the path of truthfulness and on the path of commitment to delivering to the people. It's a two-edged sword. It could go against you because they could decide in some local governments, if there are more people who are against you than for you, it could affect your political career.
Yes.
But I believe strongly that if you are delivering, there will always be people who see the truth. Like in my case, and will always stand by me. So I must thank the leaders of APC in Oyo State. First and foremost, I must thank Senator Abiola Ajimobi. He has been a very, very outright, forthright leader, tells you as it is, does not mince his words, and that way it keeps you on track. Then I must thank the APC chairman for your state, Baba Oke, as I fondly call him, a very forthright leader. You can go to him with your problems. Then in my Oluyole local government, the deputy chairman of APC in Oyo State is also the leader in my local government. So I must thank him. Then I have people like Baba Ogunri, Baba Alamu, Baba Garuba. You know, the support. I have so many of them.
Yeah,
the support they're giving me is unbelievable. And I too have to say, and I must show them that I am a child who is respectful and who means well for the constituency. If there are some names I didn't mention, it's not because they are not relevant, but it's because we have time and I cannot reel out
all the I think the key point is that you need a village, right? So when they say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to get one woman elected. We have 15 more minutes, Ma, and we have a few things to do. I think that we've answered most of the questions. I'll check if we have any new one, but I wanted to give, we have one of our mamas in the house, Miss Yemisi Ransome-Kuti, and I would like to open up the line for her to just share her thoughts. Her hands have been raised. Ma, please go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, Ma, we can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Wow, I mean, Honourable Tolulope, you have been absolutely amazing, giving the length and breadth of the journey of the woman in politics. But I wanted you to emphasize the issue of supporting women, because there's a lot of emphasis on just having women there. We want to have women, but what kind of women? And how we have to be selective, and how we must, whatever the filtering process that must happen, whether within those members like yourself who are already in the house, in mentoring others and bringing those who are aspiring. What kind, I mean, we are very worried, at least my generation, I'm, well over 70. I had a foray in politics. I ran for the Senate, and I have had a wide background in activism, as you know. And at the moment, there's a general fear that Nigeria is not, is losing its values. It is not living up to the expectations of its founding fathers and mothers. So I want you to speak to that issue of values and ethics, and how, while we're running for office and wanting to have this plurality of women in office, how do we keep to those standards and ethics? We as mothers, who are bringing up children to follow certain standards. How do we stick to that? That's one. Two, if you could also address the issue of the cost of governance, because Koro has taught a lot of things as well. I'm sure we know we cannot afford to run the kind of system we're running, and the money we're paying for a plethora of officers. So I want you to also speak to that. How can we save our economy by reducing the cost of governance, and how can we support women because of their caliber, their character, and issues like that? Thank you so much. And you're doing a fantastic job, Folashade. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining.
My pleasure.
Wow. Thank you very much, ma'am. But first of all, I must say that I'm very happy to have you here on this program today. And I must thank you for your past initiatives like the Girl Watch that you set up in the 1990s. Really, I would like to meet you in person. So if you don't mind, I would love to really meet you in person and talk more. Now, let's go to the character. It's very key. Character is very key. Because like I keep saying, it's not just about men or women. It's about women with character and men with character. And how do you know? You go back to their history. How did they do in every workplace they've been working? What kind of people were they in the workplace? I'm sure if you go to my own workplaces now, you ask them, they'll say, that woman, she was always a fighter. She's the one who will fight for one employee that has been given the raw deal. So, the track record must speak for that person. It's not just about the person getting up and saying, I want to run for president. Because let me tell you, there are two types of people in this world. There are people who want to do something because they want to give back. And there are people who want to give because they want to take. So we need to be able to separate the givers from the takers. And how do you identify a giver and a taker? It's by their past track record. We need to investigate the kind of people we will support. Because if we are going to turn Nigeria around, we need to begin to really pick people based on character, their values, their track record, not just by the words coming out of their mouth. Because anybody can be a sweet talker. But then go and find out from the people who have worked with that person in the past. And then what kind of charity has this person been doing in their life? What kind of commitments have they had for the poor people of our society? That's the only way to go. And I think those are the only key things we need to do first. Investigate the background of the people we will support. And if we start doing that, we'll start separating the good from the bad, and we will make progress as a nation. Your other question was on, what was it again? I know I took the notes.
So she talked about the second question.
Yes, it's breaking out now again.
Can you hear me?
Because it was breaking out. I can hear you now, but breaking out just before the second question, so I didn't catch it.
The cost of governance. The
cost of governance.
Because, yes, how do we reduce the Abosede?
Yes, ma.
I mispronounced it, but thank you so much. This is a fantastic job you're doing, and we need more of it. But how do we separate these issues? I think also when we have other webinars, we must break down and really focus on separate issues and come up with strategies to address them. And this particular one worries me. The fact that we have governance that is so bloated in terms of the income Nigeria is able to make. How do we deal with that? This is my question to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's a very, very key question. And I will start off with this. I am sorry to say this, I'm very disappointed in a lot of journalists in Nigeria. The journalists, for example, I'm going to take it in steps. I've presented the legislators as irresponsible people who are making 30 million naira a month. It is not true. My salary is not 30 million naira a month. Also, Nigeria, when you look at the country, the legislature is supposed to make laws. I'm not supposed to be giving scholarships. I'm not supposed to be paying people's house rents. I'm not supposed to be paying people's medical bills. I'm not supposed to be giving people WAEC lessons. I'm not supposed to be tutoring people. Yeah. I am doing all those things. I'm fixing roads. Where will I get this money from? I get that money from the salary that I get now, and it's not 30 million. So I want Nigerians to challenge our journalists to go and do their homework properly, and not, to stop trying to defame the people who are in the house. Now, let me give you an example. There is this issue, and I will go to the main question, but I don't have to lay the background, that the legislature was being bought cars. Camry was what was being bought for us. But go to the executive. Go and see the ministers. The ministers have about 4 or 5 Jeeps in their fleet. And then they are buying me, the legislator, 1 car, a basic Camry, and it's an issue. Now, a manager in a bank, because he's serving the bank, gets a car, does he not? So let us get our priorities right and go and look where we really should be looking. Now, I'm not part of the executive, I'm in the house. I'm part of lawmaker, I'm a lawmaker. But if I look at the structure of the executive today, there are some agencies that could be collapsed into one agency. Now, we talk about the cost, but do we realize that in Nigeria, the greatest cost is the civil service salaries, because the government is the greatest employer in Nigeria, which should not be. What we should be focusing on is how we're going to get our country to go back into agriculture, agricultural industrialization, manufacturing, so that way there will be other sources of employment, and it will bring down the salaries that is involved in the executive. Now, to do that, we need to review the whole civil service system, such that, for example, the system now where you take an exam to go to the next level is discarded. Performance is used as a source of promotion. We need to review our civil service. When we do that, the civil service will begin to deliver. We say we want to do agriculture. Where is there? Where have we really done the agriculture? Can you imagine where Nigeria will be today if we had done that agriculture at the level it's supposed to be done? And who are the people who are supposed to implement it? It's the civil service, which is the executive arm. All we can do is make laws. But it is them that will implement the budget and everything. Even when we talk about constituency projects, we don't get any cash for constituency projects. All I will do is tell them, go and site a school in this part of my local government. Go and build a road. I need transformers for so. I'm not going to get that money. They will do it. So you see, this issue about the restructuring of the executive. And if we restructure our executive and we make it a performing civil service in the country, both federal and state, Nigeria will make progress. But who are the people in the civil service? It's you and I, our uncles, our cousins, who is in the police force. There are people we know, there might be some cousin. That is it. For Nigeria to change, every single Nigerian must get up, wake up tomorrow morning. I challenge every Nigerian to wake up tomorrow and decide, no more, no more, no more. The other day on the news, they're talking about this high-rise building in Abuja, that they illegally tapped power. Illegally tapped power. Now, on Friday last week, I called Airtel. I said I wanted another internet connection because I wanted to be able to participate in my brother's funeral, which was on Monday last week. So they delivered the router on Saturday. Saturday was the 16th. Do you know that they said they gave me the router and we have 25,000 plus 100 free gigabytes. Do you know that by Tuesday, 100 free gigabytes had finished? Who used it? Nobody used it. So you see, every Nigerian needs to. I went to Airtel to fight them on Tuesday or Wednesday. On Wednesday, and they said I should give them till Monday. They need to tell me what has happened to my money because I'm going to make it an issue. So it's not about governments, or it's about the Nigerian in government, the Nigerian in private sector. Each one of us. I agree with you.
I agree with you. But let us agree that we need to reform a lot of things. I think that's, yes. And because we're speaking to you, we're focusing on the legislator. and the powers you have, you shouldn't be the one that's building the school or spending your salary on whatever it is that you're spending it on. You shouldn't be. So there's that whole structure, the infrastructure for ensuring that the executive does its job, the transparency that goes with it, because when Nigerians see that this money that is given, everybody knows about it, it's pasted in the school, in the local government, on the web, everybody knows how this money is being spent. There will be a lot more support for the whole political infrastructure that we have. So let's agree that yes, a lot of change is really needed, and we are relying on the legislator because there's more of you than the executive. You are the ones that are directly connected to the people. We would like to see more of you being more engaged with this stakeholder, making sure the voices of the people are heard, making sure accountability and transparency, and also being the one to fight for a lean government, to fight for the fact that you don't need a car. I mean, you are a successful person, so you may need a car to do your job, but you do, every time a person is sworn in, we don't need to buy brand new cars. In some countries, in Sweden, they give them an allowance and tell them to go on public transport like everybody else, or they get bicycles or something, I'm told, in Sweden. So let's look at it as our problem. As you are one of us. You also, it's a common patrimony. The money belongs to all of us. So how do we spend it more judiciously, more transparently, cut down on what we don't need?
Hello, Ma.
Allows the rest of us to work with you for these changes. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ma. We appreciate you joining us and for your contribution. So Ma, we have a few more minutes, but I'm going to take a comment from him.
Yeah.
Hello, Ma.
Can I throw something in quickly?
Yes, please.
Nigeria, I want you to please, if you're a journalist, if you have a journalist in your family, please talk to them to start doing proper investigation before they make all these statements. I remember when this issue of the payments that was made to different constituencies came out. We the people in the rep, we're not happy because we thought we didn't see that money going to our people in our constituency. And we raised an alarm. But the next thing, the journalists were trying to defame us, saying that we raised an alarm because the money didn't come through us. No, we just wanted to make sure that that money got to, the 20,000 naira that the government was giving out to the people for COVID palliatives. We just wanted to make sure that our people got that money because things were very hard. I alone know how many people I had to send money to for the COVID palliatives. My colleagues too, food and everything. So we need the journalists to to please do responsible reporting because we can only achieve this thing together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. I'm going to bring my co-founder, Ibijoke, on. So Ibijoke Faborode is the co-founder of ElectHER. I'm just going to bring her on to share her thoughts and obviously to extend our gratitude to the Honourable before we ask her for her three recommendations.
Okay, thank you so much, Abosede. Thank you so much, Honourable Tolulope Akande-Sadipe. This has been such an insightful conversation, and both the chat boxes and the Q&A boxes are doing very, very well. So obviously, people are really excited and have a lot of questions. And what someone has recommended that in the event we're not able to answer all questions today, that we should please gather the questions and see how Honourable might be generous enough to please answer so that people can also get deeper insight into this. So please, we'll appreciate if that could be possible so we don't take too much time. I also wanted to talk about ElectHER theory of change. I know Abosede mentioned it at the beginning, which is our plan to sort of follow a 4E model, which is to engage, equip, enable, encourage and enable people and women to run for office competitively. And hearing you speak today sort of validates our theory of change. It's very exciting for us as an organization. And I just wanted to like mention the funding part you'd said. The other organizations at the moment that are supporting women.
Ibijoke, we lost you for a bit there. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, as ElectHER, I wanted to amplify one of the things that we are definitely going to be launching at the end of the year, which is the Election Campaign Fund, which is an endowment fund we are putting together to support frontline candidates. And as you said, one thing we definitely want to leverage is harnessing the strong female figures we have right now in politics, such as yourself and your colleagues. And so when we come calling, we hope you will answer us to see how, number one, we are able to support your re-election. We're able to support the candidacy of the younger ones that are coming and want to run in 2023, and then how we can make, the holistic change that we want to make. I also wanted to speak about ElectHER Academy. So one of the things we're also planning is setting up ElectHER Academy, having virtual training sessions, in-person sessions, online courses. And one of the key products that we're going to be launching later this year, hopefully everything goes on well, is the ElectHER Future Lawmakers Program, which is sort of incubates younger candidates to learn the ropes of lawmaking, to prepare them for office, given that, the older generation have a richer history into politics. The younger generation will literally just playing catch up. So that mentorship will be extremely important, and we will definitely be running. So you become our mother right now, just so that, saying that we're going to run to you for advice. We're going to want to tap into your knowledge and your know-how, your counsel as well, because you're already in politics, and that will, definitely come in very handy. And I think the second to the last thing I would say is the grassroots orientation. Yeah. You saying that today obviously helps us to get better context. That is one of the things we have to do. So hopefully, the people that will be incubating, one of the things that we'll be set out to do is to connect with their constituency and start building projects. Yeah. So before 2023. So obviously we will definitely hopefully have a strategy session with you virtually or in person once COVID period is over. And finally, you mentioned the role of media. For you to know that we're also thinking in the same direction and we're aligned. Next week, our focus is actually the role and influence of media in strengthening democratic practices. We want to look at investigative and ethical media reporting. And so, if you're able to join, it will be a good one, because you're definitely a voice that I think that, cannot be silenced, and one that should be amplified as well. So just for you to know, we're thinking in that direction, and this platform is meant to bring to fore all those issues and see how we can collectively, engage on them. So thank you very much again, Abosede. Great job. I'm going to leave you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibijoke. Those were amazing points, and thank you for reiterating what ElectHER is all about. So, Honourable, we have taken a lot of your time, and before we go, we just want you to give us 3 specific recommendations on how we can ensure that come 2023, you are re-elected, but you are in that House chamber with much more women than are there with you today.
First and foremost, I'll tell the ladies out there, you're interested in politics, you must have self-confidence, you must believe in yourself, and you must not be doing it for you. You must be doing it for the future of your children and your children's children, for generations to come. So don't go in there looking for any self-gratification. That's my first advice. My second advice is funds, which I keep harping on. It's very, very important that you get the funding right. And the third, you must have the support of your family. And when I say family, I mean your spouse and your children, because it's going to involve sacrifices on their parts as well. For example, there's some places that my children cannot go to and they must not go to, or there's some things they must not be seen to be doing publicly. So it's a whole family affair. So your children must buy in, your husband must buy in, you must have the confidence that you will deliver, you must believe in yourself, and you must be doing it for the world and not for you. And believe me, with all those things in place, the sky is the limit. And then the funding. you must find that money. But don't find that money in a manner where somebody has expectations from you. Find the money because they give you the money because they believe in you. The people who supported me gave because they believed in me. I went to people I had worked with. Some, even my juniors, who were junior to me, when I was working at GT Bank, they were junior to me. The kind of monies they put into my campaign, because they are all, now everybody's grown up, like maybe when I was manager of ET, now they're all big boys. The support they gave me, it's because who they knew I was when I was either the supervisor or just one of the seniors in the sector. So that's 3 key points.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. So on behalf of ElectHER, I want to thank the audience who joined us today for being so interactive. I mean, the chat box was going off. I thank you all for taking the poll. I thank you all for participating. I thank you all for spending an hour and 15 minutes or more with us. But most importantly, I want to thank Honourable Tolulope Akande-Sadipe. I want to echo Ibijoke, you're now our mama, we're not letting you go. But thank you so much. That you accepted to do this tells a lot about your heart and your passion to see more women in there with you and beyond. We want to thank all our guests for joining us. The next edition of the ElectHER Webinar Series will be on the 6th of June. And as Ibijoke said, we'll be talking about the role of the media. And that should be very interesting. So thank you very much, Ma. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Keep safe and keep making us proud. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, Ma.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.